This is a summary of The Second Mountain by David Brooks. The Two Mountains in the Valley of Suffering. Have you ever encountered someone who just seems to glow with happiness and purpose? You might wonder, what's their secret? How did they get that way? In this audiobook, we'll join David Brooks on his quest to answer these very questions. Through years of interviewing people from all walks of life, diving into philosophy and religion, and even examining his own experiences after a challenging divorce, Brooks has arrived at a powerful insight. He uses a compelling metaphor to explain it all: two mountains. Each one represents a different kind of struggle we face in our search for a fulfilling life. Now, we won't spoil the surprise, but let's just say the first mountain might be a bit of a disappointment. It's on the second mountain where the true secret to fulfillment lies. But before we reach that peak, there's a valley to cross, a valley of suffering. Throughout this audiobook, we'll explore all three of these locations. The first mountain, where we'll discover why focusing solely on ourselves doesn't lead to lasting happiness. The valley of suffering, where we'll learn why happiness alone isn't the ultimate goal. And finally, the second mountain, where we might even have to disagree with the Beatles about the meaning of love. So, buckle up and get ready for a journey filled with wisdom, challenges, and ultimately, the potential to find a life rich with meaning and joy. The first mountain, the allure of individualism. Our journey to a fulfilling life starts on a mountain. But before we begin our climb, let's take a moment to explore the landscape at its base. This landscape is shaped by a powerful force called individualism. Individualism is a philosophy that celebrates the unique qualities of each person. It's the air we breathe here in the United States, a land built on this idea. At its core, individualism offers incredible freedom. You get to choose your own path, your beliefs, and how you live your life. Unlike some societies, you're not bound by the dictates of others, whether it's a religious leader or a politician. Individualism asks a simple question: what truly matters to you? It encourages you to pursue your passions, be it conquering rapids on a whitewater raft or building a business empire. As long as you don't harm others in your pursuit, the world is your oyster, individualists say. This ideal society allows everyone to chase their dreams and coexist peacefully. But here's the twist. This focus on individual freedom is built on a view of society that sees people as separate entities, not as interconnected parts of a community. Communities, like churches or neighborhoods, create a shared space where people come together for common goals. Imagine a Jewish community gathering in their synagogue to worship. In these communities, people make commitments to each other and to the values they share. However, individualism sees these commitments as limitations on your freedom. Following religious dietary laws like kashrut might seem restrictive, for example. Individualism shies away from such constraints, believing that the fewer limitations you have, the better. But as we'll discover on our climb, this idea might not be as liberating as it seems. The downside of going solo: individualism and social disconnect. We talked about the allure of individualism, the freedom to pursue your own path without limitations. But what if this focus on me comes at a cost? When individualism becomes the driving force of a society, it can lead to some serious problems. The more we prioritize ourselves, the less we prioritize building strong social connections. Take the United States, for example. Here, rampant individualism seems to be causing social connections to fray. The numbers paint a concerning picture. Just 8% of Americans have meaningful conversations with their neighbors in a whole year. Loneliness is a growing epidemic, affecting 35% of Americans over 45. And people are increasingly disconnected from traditional communities. Unaffiliated is the fastest growing category for both religious and political groups, signifying a break from these social anchors. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a public health crisis. In the U.S., It's linked to rising depression and suicide rates. Rates of severe depression in young adults jumped from 5.9% to 8.2% between 2012 and 2015. Suicide rates among 10 to 17-year-olds soared by 70% from 2006 to 2016. This lack of connection breeds a deeper issue: distrust. Americans increasingly distrust their neighbors, institutions, and even each other. Trust in neighbors has plummeted from 60% in the 1950s to just 32% today, with millennials trusting their neighbors at an abysmal 18%. Government trust has fallen from 75% to a mere 25% over the same period. Religious affiliation, often a marker of trust in organized religion, has also nosedived. Church attendance is down nearly 50% since the 1960s. Without a sense of connection to their communities, society, and the institutions that used to guide them, Americans feel adrift. This sense of rootlessness sets the stage for their climb up the first mountain, which we'll explore next. Adrift and ambitious, climbing the mountain of material success. Imagine yourself, a young adult in the heart of individualistic America. You've just graduated from a top university, armed with a degree that promises a bright future. The American dream feels tantalizingly close. But here's the rub. With graduation comes a daunting question. What now? Remember all that freedom individualism promised? Well, it's mostly on hold until your education wraps up. School, with its schedules, rules, and clear expectations, provides a well-defined path. You know the drill. Good grades equal a good university. It's a system that offers structure and purpose. Graduation changes everything. Suddenly, the path vanishes. You're on your own, adrift in a sea of possibilities and lacking the guiding compass of a strong community. In this environment, many young Americans cast their anchor in the very thing individualism emphasizes: their careers. Seeking structure and purpose, they gravitate towards companies that offer a familiar hierarchy, mirroring the school environment. Work hard, climb the ladder, achieve status and wealth. This becomes their mantra. They embrace the path of the workaholic, determined to conquer this first mountain, the mountain of worldly success. Climbing this mountain provides a sense of direction and accomplishment. But, as we'll soon discover, this path to fulfillment is paved with hidden costs. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where we'll explore the limitations of the first mountain and the true path to a fulfilling life. The summit of disappointment, the price of material success. Lace up your hiking boots, grab some metaphorical rope. We're about to scale the first mountain. Let's start with the best-case scenario. You reach the summit. You've conquered the corporate world, a highly respected professional in a prestigious field. There's just one hitch. You still feel a hollowness inside. Something's missing. We'll come back to that, but first, let's explore the other side of the coin: the fall. Imagine losing your footing and tumbling down the mountain. Maybe a personal tragedy like a job loss, divorce, illness, or a loved one's passing throws you off balance. Or perhaps the relentless climb simply wears you down, and you decide to jump ship. Maybe you're one of those who reach a breaking point with a meaningless job and walk away, never to return. Either way, you find yourself in the valley between the mountains, a place of loss and suffering. Job loss, a loved one's death, declining health. These experiences rob you of direction, purpose, and stability, intensifying the pain. Coping mechanisms come into play. Some might reach for fleeting comfort in unhealthy habits like excessive drinking. A far healthier path lies in leaning on friends and family, a listening ear, a kind word, or simply sharing a meal together. This better path through the valley might lead to crucial discoveries. What was missing on the mountain climb? What truly nourishes a fulfilling life? You guessed it, connection with others. We'll delve deeper into this answer in the next chapter. Happiness, a flawed compass. Remember the allure of individualism, the promise of unfettered freedom to pursue whatever your heart desires? But before you jump in, let's ask a crucial question. What's the ultimate purpose of all this freedom? Sure, you can do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't hurt others. But what exactly do you want? Individualism suggests the answer is unique to each person. Maybe it's a life of adventure, or perhaps the spotlight of fame. However, beneath these varied desires lies a common thread: the pursuit of happiness. This quest for happiness seems reasonable, but there's a hidden flaw within happiness itself. Happiness is a fleeting feeling triggered by achieving a goal or fulfilling a desire. You earn the diploma, land the promotion, or savor a delicious meal. Happiness follows. But this glow quickly fades. Happiness is temporary. You achieve, experience happiness, it dissipates, and the cycle restarts with the next goal or desire. A life dedicated solely to happiness becomes a chase from one fleeting moment of satisfaction to another, with long stretches of emptiness in between. But the issue goes beyond just fleetingness. Happiness is built on goals and desires that are ultimately self-centered. It's all about personal victories, gaining advantages, or seeking pleasure for yourself. And compared to the grand scheme of things, these desires often feel trivial. Consider that promotion, a personal achievement. Now think about the monumental impact of Mother Teresa's work, alleviating the suffering of countless people in India. Suddenly, that promotion seems rather insignificant. There's a stark contrast between a life consumed by self-gratification and a life dedicated to something greater. This is the essence of the second mountain, and that's where our journey takes us next. Beyond happiness, the joy of serving others. Trading the pursuit of happiness for a life dedicated to others might sound noble, but let's be honest, it's not exactly an enticing proposition. Happiness, fleeting as it may be, feels fantastic. Service, on the other hand, can seem daunting. So, before we embark on the climb up the second mountain, a question arises. What's in it for you? Are there any tangible rewards beyond a pat on the back for being good? First, you're not saying goodbye to happiness entirely. The satisfaction that comes from achieving goals and fulfilling desires remains. The aim isn't to eliminate happiness, but to prevent it from becoming the sole focus of your existence. Here's the exciting part. By letting go of some focus on happiness, you gain something far more fulfilling: joy. But what's the difference? Joy is a deeper, more lasting emotional state than happiness. Unlike happiness, it's not about feeling good about yourself or boosting your ego. It's about self-transcendence, forgetting yourself, focusing on others, finding joy in them, and investing your time and energy in making their lives better. This, in turn, amplifies your own joy as you witness the positive impact on others. Think of it this way. Imagine love as an infinite wellspring within you. Now, imagine opening the floodgates and letting that love flow outward, enriching the lives of others. The Dalai Lama embodies this joyful self-transcendence. The author once shared a meal with him, and the most striking aspect wasn't his profound wisdom, but his laughter. He'd erupt in laughter seemingly out of nowhere, overflowing with such joy it was contagious. Even without a clear reason for laughter, the author couldn't help but join in. This, my friends, is the kind of joy that awaits you on the path of service. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate this joy in your own life. The challenge of service, beyond warm fuzzies. A life brimming with joy is built on service fueled by overflowing love for humanity. But hold on, before we all join hands and sing Campfire Kumbaya, let's be clear. This path is far from a sentimental walk in the park. Climbing the second mountain demands serious effort. Hunger, homelessness, addiction, loneliness. These are just some of the immense challenges facing our world. And our personal lives present their own hurdles. Nurturing healthy relationships, navigating communication issues, and carving out time for others in our fast-paced lives. For those of faith, there's the added layer of balancing service to others with devotion to God and community. The point is, dedicating yourself to others requires tackling significant problems. It means hard work and exposure to suffering. Imagine serving meals at a homeless shelter, fulfilling, yes, but also demanding in terms of both labor and the emotional weight of witnessing hardship. So, when the climb gets steep, how do you stay motivated? Wouldn't it be wonderful if a bottomless reservoir of love for humanity could propel you forward? While appealing, this approach is a bit naive. The Beatles may have sung, "All you need is love," but human emotions are more complex. Love ebbs and flows. If you rely solely on love to carry you through the difficulties of service, you'll falter. Love is essential, but it's not enough. What else do you need? We'll explore the answer in the next chapter. Building bridges of service, beyond the warm glow. Love is a powerful fuel for a life of service, but it's just the starting point. Love alone leads to bursts of kindness, temporary acts of generosity. To create lasting impact, we need to build a structure of behavior around it. Imagine this structure as a bridge connecting you to those you serve. This bridge requires commitment to a set of practices, routines, and agreements that ensure loving behavior even when your feelings of love ebb and flow. Think of marriage as a prime example. It starts with a vow, a public declaration of commitment to your partner. This vow signifies a choice. You choose your partner over countless other possibilities. But a vow alone won't guarantee a happy marriage. It takes consistent effort, deep conversations, expressing appreciation, forgiveness, acts of kindness, making time for each other. In essence, prioritizing the needs of your relationship above your own. Maybe finishing that work proposal could wait if it means canceling date night. Building this bridge of service applies to other areas of your life, like your job. At work, you can choose to act with service in mind. We'll explore how to translate this concept into your professional life in the next chapter. Building bridges of service, finding your vocation. A life of service extends beyond just your personal relationships. It also applies to your career. Forget the job that's about money or status. A life of service centers on a vocation, work driven by passion, a calling you feel deep within. Finding your vocation mirrors the journey of marriage. First, you fall in love with an activity, a field, a cause. Maybe it's writing, biology, or fighting for campaign finance reform. This love ignites a desire to become a writer, a biologist, or a political activist. Then comes the vow, declaring your major, enrolling in a specific program, committing to your path. This vow narrows your focus. Choosing campaign finance reform means not dedicating yourself fully to other causes like environmentalism. Of course, you can still recycle and be eco-conscious, but your level of impact won't match that of a full-time environmental activist. And that's okay. In fact, it's essential. Real impact comes from focusing your energy. Divide your efforts amongst too many causes, and you'll achieve little in any. You become a jack of all trades, master of none, leaving minimal impact on the world. True dedication to your vocation requires prioritizing its needs above your own. Examine your chosen field. How can you best serve it with your skills, interests, and background? This is your guiding principle. Consider George Orwell, a staunch socialist. He recognized that his calling as a writer demanded honesty and journalistic integrity above his political leanings. When writing about the Spanish Civil War, he strove for objectivity, even when it meant revealing the weaknesses of the left-wing forces he supported. Building bridges of service, the role of religion. For many, religion serves as a cornerstone for a life of commitment and service. The author, drawing on his Jewish and Christian upbringing, explores how religion equips its followers for such a life. One key benefit is ritual. Remember, commitment involves structuring your love for someone or something into concrete actions. Rituals provide this structure, a series of practices that ensure you express your love consistently, even when feelings wane. Judaism exemplifies this with its 613 commandments, many focused on daily rituals like lighting Shabbat candles or observing Shabbat, the day of rest. Judaism becomes a practice woven into everyday life, often shared with family at home or within the synagogue community. These rituals bind Jewish people together, strengthening their connections to each other, to God, and to their shared beliefs. Religion also offers vivid examples of a meaningful life. Biblical figures like Moses and Jesus provide inspiration, but so too does daily life within a faith-based community. The author describes his own upbringing, surrounded by both the warmth of his family's synagogue and the kindness of the Christian community at his summer camp. Whether celebrating Shabbat dinner or singing campfire songs, he experienced the joy of communal life, one built on love and shared faith. Now, if religion doesn't resonate with you, you might be thinking, wait, these benefits seem more about community than specific beliefs. Can I skip religion and just focus on community? The short answer is yes. The longer answer, that's the topic of our next and final chapter. Building bridges of service, the power of community. We started this journey by exploring the breakdown of communities in today's world. This final chapter focuses on rebuilding them and how you can contribute to a joyful life of service by participating in this process. If this resonates with you, then great news, your community needs you. Rebuilding fractured communities lies in the hands of those committed to service through community. The author calls these individuals weavers, metaphorically weaving together the fabric of a community, be it broken or yet to be formed. Take Asaiah Butler, who grew up in Chicago's rough Englewood neighborhood. Witnessing poverty and violence, Asaiah sought volunteer opportunities to make a difference, but existing organizations didn't seem to fit. So, she created her own, the Resident Association of Greater Englewood, or RAGE. RAGE brings together a diverse group, graphic designers, business executives, even people who simply love to bake cookies. They host community-building events like job fairs and cash bombs, residents pooling resources to shop at local stores. Notice Asaiah's focus, not trying to change the entire U.S. or Chicago, but also not limiting her impact to just a few individuals. She targeted the sweet spot, her neighborhood. At this level, you can create significant change for a significant number of people, a manageable and impactful unit for social transformation. Once you see your neighborhood as a unit of change, possibilities emerge. Street fairs, storytelling forums, after-school programs, libraries, or even community-controlled public services. The ideas are endless, waiting for people like you to bring them to life. Summary: beyond happiness, the joy of serving others. Earlier, we've explored the dark side of individualism. While it promises freedom, it often leads to fractured communities and a relentless pursuit of happiness that ultimately leaves us empty. So, what's the alternative? The true path to fulfillment lies in dedicating ourselves to others through our careers, relationships, faith, and community involvement. Here's how you can take action. Focus on possibilities, not problems. Don't get bogged down by what's wrong with your community. Instead, look for its strengths, the talents and resources already present. For example, maybe your neighbor is a graphic designer who could create flyers for a community meeting. Perhaps your local library has a space you could use to host the event. See your community as a treasure trove of potential, waiting to be unlocked through collaboration. Thank you for listening to the audiobook summary of The Second Mountain by David Brooks. The end.